meeting. And as we do with every monthly meeting, we start with a legal notice. As information for our audience, if you're not satisfied with the decision made by the Metropolitan Board of Fair Commissioners today, you may appeal the decision by petitioning for a writ of cert with the Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of entry of the board's decision. To ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been met, please be advised that you should contact your own independent legal counsel. Okay. First order of business is to review the minutes from our January 8th meeting. Have been circulated. We have a couple pages to review for accuracy, typos, rare. We have a move to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor of approval? Aye. Opposed? Okay, we have minutes approved. We will move now to public comment time. Got a microphone here at the podium that's been wired up, so no wireless trouble, hopefully. Anybody for public comment time? If not, we will jump right into our monthly reports. Bowman, good morning.
Good morning.
Financial report.
Good morning. Have a couple of things this morning. First, to go over the financials for the period ending January 31st, 2019. I would like to first say that the books have not officially closed, so these numbers are not final. Revenues through January 2019, $1,803,412. Expenditures for that same time period, $1,973,038, for a net loss for the month of January of $169,626. I do know that we did receive the balance from State Fair of $79,684. You do not see that reflected in the numbers here because the books have not officially closed. So
That amount again?
$79,684. That was the balance due from State Fair. We did receive that in January, and it is being processed.
So it was that plus 50, right?
Correct. Yes. Payroll expenses year to date, $808,179. Utilities, $465,315. Purchase services, $152,142. Supplies, $78,473. Communications, $16,835. Temporary services, $111,902. Security services, $65,867. IT services, $79,905. And insurance permits and low cap, $194,510. If you would look at your chart, your pie chart that you received with the financials, it's a better picture of how we look rather than just looking at the numbers. Our distribution, 44% on payroll, 21% on utilities, 6% on purchase services, 4% on supplies, 1% on communications, 4% on temporary services, 3% on security services, 4% on IT services, and 13% on insurance permits. The budget tracker shows that we are over budget in security and temporary services, and I would like to just point out that we are also under budget in payroll. We are short, I believe, 3 full-time positions. In the maintenance department. So where you see that we are under in payroll, we make up that in the temporary services and security, where we're trying to fill in those gaps to cover the fairgrounds. So even though you see the overage there, it crosses out down in payroll services. Revenue distribution, of course, 40%, the majority of our revenue coming from flea market, 14% parking, 11% from the track, 16% for building rent, 5% outside space, 6% concessions, 3% state fair, and of course that 3% does not include the 79 that is still being processed, 4% for rentals, and 1% other. We are on track, even though our revenues are down traditionally or historically, our revenues are lower in November, December, January, and February, and then they usually pick up March through the rest of the month. So we are on track, even though it seems that we're low. That's the nature of the cycle. Last year, this time for revenue, we were at 139,317 for the month of January. And for the month of January in 2019, we're at 153,863. So we are following trend from what normally occurs through these winter months. Any questions?
Apologize, I wasn't here last month. What was our expense trend so much higher in December than historical norm?
In December,
Or are they lower? I was looking at it the wrong way. Why are they so much lower?
I have to look that up. I don't have specifically. I'd have to look that up and get back to you
Email.
to give you the correct answer for that. Any other questions about this?
No, thank you. Anybody else?
Oh, okay. Secondly, it is budget time for, we did submit the budget last week for fiscal year 2019-2020. It is in the early stages. We remained relatively flat in everything that we submitted. As per our instructions for prior years, they were not accepting any changes, increases to our budget. So we didn't increase anything. We remained relatively flat. The thing that they are working on us with is that we're going to have to restructure our revenue and the way it's reported on the financials. Right now, it's listed per buildings. Once we move into the new facility, all of that will have to be restructured. So we submitted revenue for building rent as one lump sum. And then we will correct that after we move into the building, and finance will help us reorganize how we want to report those numbers to the board and on our financials. And as we go through the budget, if there are any major changes that are made, of course, we will update the board of directors.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would just add too that we've had to make some assumptions. I think we took a modest decrease in some of our utilities, assuming that, instead of heating and air conditioning, 9 buildings with inefficient systems, that once we get into the new facilities with, we'll be LEED silver designed and we'll have high efficiency lighting with LED. There is an assumption that some of the utilities, especially electric, will go down, but we did a very modest reduction in electrical, left everything else the same. And like I said, for revenue, at this point, we're pretty much flat as we went in, as Felicia said.
Okay, there's no further questions. We can move on to the executive director's report.
I don't have anything special outside of the updates that we're going to go through on the agenda. So if it's all right, I'll hold for as we go through each item.
Okay. Let's move on to the Fairgrounds Improvement Project update, please.
Good morning, Board. How are you doing this morning?
Morning.
I'm going to kick us off this morning, as I usually do, with a budget update. I'll also hit some talking points for our DBE and diversity business update. Roxanne Bethune's actually out ill this morning. Then I'll be turning over to Ron and Michelle to go through the PowerPoint that you have up on the board. I want to start, of course, with the document that you have in front of you that details the overall project budget. I'll start at the top, work my way down. One thing that I do want to address this morning, you guys have in front of you a budget that shows a line item at the very top of the page in sources.
We don't.
You don't have that? I'm happy to walk through it verbally, and then, of course, we can share the document. Yep. Make copies. Yeah, I'm happy to talk through it, and then, of course, there are questions. It's this. I'll reserve direction from the board if you want to wait until after you have copies, or I can walk through it.
Might as well walk through it.
Walk through it. So what you will see, apologies for that, what you will see this morning under sources, you have a line item there that previously was $12 million. It now shows $17 million. What has been done is $5 million of the capital spending plan from 2017 has been accessed for this project to get us through the remainder of construction on the expo buildings and any associated work that we have to get done out there on the site. Any project that was awarded in 2017's fiscal year has the ability to draw on that fund, that contingency fund, and of course that makes this project eligible because that $12 million that was awarded to the Fairgrounds was done in that fiscal year. Just want to be clear of some of the reasons why we need those funds out here on the site. As everyone knows, we have an extremely tight schedule, approximately 9 months from beginning of actual design through completion, which will put us in the end of the July, which we've talked about being the first event down there. Some challenges that we have dealt with throughout this project, of course, it was recommended and asked by Metro Council, approved by the board here, and we all feel appropriate that none of the buildings were demolished to allow for events and programs to continue at the Fairgrounds while we're doing construction. That again allowed us, put the pressure on us in terms of a tight schedule. That combined with the fact that we're in an extremely tight market in terms of construction services being extremely high, as well as being extremely competitive to secure those services. One example that we've had is our concrete contractor, which we're pouring concrete now down on the site, and you'll get some photos later. We actually had our awarded contractor pull out. They actually got another project, and therefore we had to move on to our second bidder. Of course, they were our lowest bidder, so that means there was an increase in cost there as well. And then, of course, we've had extensive value engineering done throughout this project. Ron, myself, Michelle have presented to you monthly that, we're continuing to work to make this building the best we can, maximize the building and minimize the dollars and cost impact. But we've reached a point where we really don't want to take anything else out of the building, right? We want the building to function as it needs to operate appropriately for the staff here as well as the vendors and those that will be having events at the space. The other thing that I do want to highlight is that we have gone through those processes, and we've actually continued to make the building able to meet LEED Silver, which is a Metro requirement. And so that is something I think we can pat ourselves on the back for, continuing to look at the type of building that we're putting in place and the pace that we're doing it. We have discussed all of this with the budget and finance departments of Metro, so they are aware of this. And as I'll go through the budget, and you'll see later, we've put ourselves in a much better position to complete the project. I don't know if you guys have that copy or when you'll get it, but as we move down, there's really been 4 major changes since you saw this budget last month. One, not related to that $5 million, is the removal of the line item that we had for public art. So we were carrying that in our budget. During conversations with Metro Finance, we were told that that does not need to be carried internally to the project budget. That is actually a separate budget. So that line item has been removed from the project budget, and it won't be there going forward. But I just wanted to call that out. The other changes, now you will see that the construction budget, of course, has increased, reflective of some of the challenges that I mentioned earlier. We've also now created a much more appropriate and robust FF&E line item, which was around $300,000 at last month. It's now standing at $1.1 million, much more suitable for the building and the amount of space. And now we have a project contingency that is much more appropriate for a project of this size, overall project contingency that is much more appropriate for a budget of this size. So that's something I think that we all feel quite confident with as we move forward. Just talking about where we stand to date, I always like to highlight when I'm presenting this budget that it is approximately 30 to 45 days in the past. So the numbers that you see there in terms of paid to date do not reflect the incredible amount of work that's been done out there on site. And so I'll start by going top to bottom again, looking at the construction paid to date. You see that there's just over $860,000 that has been paid, and that just shy of 3% of that total cost. As we talked about the schedule, and we're only 6 months or so out, understand that if you go out there and look today, there's far more work than that has been done. We're tracking just about where we thought we would be at this point in time related to our design. We've completed design. There's a few evolving adjustments and changes, but we're at 55% of our line item there at $940,000. So well enough reserve to complete the project from a design perspective. Under project management services, in total, we're about 21% there, again, tracking well with the project. And now you see at the bottom, as I mentioned, a contingency of $1.8 million, which is a drastic increase from the $450,000 that we had previously, which, in my opinion, was not adequate for a project that was over $30 million. So now we have a contingency that is much more suitable for the project. Below that, you will see, as you've seen in the past, the other projects that also are under the Fair Board and Fairgrounds supervision. We have the $1 million that is captured in the Fair Park budget that's dedicated to infrastructure there. You also see the grandstands, which is, as it was last month, on hold. So there's not really been much movement in that line item. And then the previous repairs, demolition, and site master planning that has gone on site. Questions before I move on? I'll give a couple bullet points about DBE after that.
Thank you, Ed, for that. For the last item, the repairs, demo, planning, project costs, I'm assuming we don't need any more from that, or will we have more? I just because we're close to complete.
Correct. So what you see there, you are correct. You won't see that. That remainder that you see there is the amounts that are left currently in Skanska's line items in their budget. We've not completely reconciled those. They're not closed, but that's all that is, and they won't be used. Good question, but they won't be used. I'll give a couple of updates about our procurement and our DBE. So in mid-December, around the 13th, we had our last outreach in terms of welcoming vendors to come in and be informed about the project. But we do have a couple of scopes that are still to be awarded. Doors and frames, we do have painting and coating, overhead doors and some dock equipment and some concrete pavers. So a lot of the site work still needs to be finally procured. We do have irrigation as well as conveyor systems, which is basically elevator, and then some specialty hard tile. So think about a lot of the finishes inside the building, and then the hardscape and the greenery around the building needs to still be procured. Since our last update, we have awarded TRC construction and structural concrete. So we talked about our concrete package earlier. although we had to move on to our second bidder is actually a minority business. So minority business now has our complete concrete package. So they're not a sub, they're a sub, but they're a prime sub. So that will bolster our DB numbers quite greatly, which is a good thing that came out of that situation. We've also awarded A Action Air Mechanical, so they're doing our HVAC. They're also a minority business, as well as John Curry Electrical, who is working on providing the electrical supplies for the project. That brings our total number of DBEs participating, minority business, to 7. We now have women-owned business entities at 15, and then small business entities are now at 3. Questions about the diversity business? Yes, sir, Caleb.
Can you remind us of our targets? Are they number-wise,
Absolutely.
percentage-wise?
So prior to starting the expo building, the overall campus's objective was 20%. It's the Metro standard. But as we kicked off the expo building, we actually increased that target to 30%. So that is everything that's happening down on the hill, down on that side of the campus has a 30% DBE target. And as I mentioned, having our concrete contractor be a minority business themselves definitely helps us approach that target. Roxanne is working with Skanska to pull together a report that will detail how we're tracking against that target. As we said, we've spent or paid about $860,000. The majority of those costs were things like insurance, bonding, and then pre-engineering, just to get our pre-engineered metal buildings here. So the dollars that have not actually made it to the hands of those subcontractors yet. So there's not a formal report to be presented, but they're working with Skanska to put together the format of that, and Roxanne will be presenting that in the future.
I think we're on target for that.
I think so, and like I said, the concrete that helps a lot. It really does.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you all.
Morning.
How are y'all doing?
Pretty well.
We have a few slides to show you. You should have printouts in your packet, which you're welcome to look at the slides or look at the packet as we walk along that. I know sometimes you guys sit up in the front, but again, you've got the photos right there. So we're just going to give you a quick update on progress at the site. As Ed said, the financials are tracking about, 30 to 45 days behind. We report what has been paid. So in those 30 to 45 days, a lot has happened. So I think we'll also get a chance to take a look. You take a look a little later today, which is wonderful, but we can just give you a quick little slide. Thank you. Quick update, the Grandstand Speedway project, as you know, that has been halted for now. It's just we're on hold until we continue the conversations and can reevaluate the scheduling of that. So just a few things, nothing else, nothing else changed. It's painting the canopy, replacing the lighting fixtures, and the rest of the fencing. So those are on hold, and we're keeping that, to the side. So. Progress at Fair Park. Commonwealth is still managing Fair Park. If you guys haven't had a chance to drive around and check it out, it's close. You can see, I think these images are from January, I believe. December. Okay, December images there. You can kind of see on the screen there, you see the dog park, you can see the greenway, there's the restroom facilities. Ed can probably speak a little bit more to that. But it's moving through. I'm going to echo when we first got involved, Jonathan was very good to make sure and let everyone know that you have to have a couple of growing seasons for that grass before we can park on it. So I believe now it's tracking for April, right? April? Yep, back end of April. So we're targeting for that big flea market is our target there, is the target there. So things are tracking. But you'll see if there's any activity happening there. You won't be parking there until that April time. So. Ed can probably speak a little bit better to that.
So the majority of the work at the Fair Park is complete. There are two main areas that need attention. One is just having final punch and just close out like you traditionally would do with the project. Final plantings, of course, need to grow in. So there were some items based on our schedule that were not planted because we were not in the appropriate growing season. So there's a documented list of what all those are and coordination between Skanska and Parks Department to have those installed. So that's area one. The second is the Elections Commission building. Of course, we're not able to demolish that building as we've designed and planned because there needs to be a new home for the machines that are stored there, which is targeted for later this summer. So that move will happen later this summer, and then the demolition and then naturalization and park features that will go in that area will be completed.
Okay, so on the blue budget you gave us, it still says cost to complete $745,000. That just seems really high for.
That is, again, not current because
Right.
it's at least a month to a month and a half out. And then that is also not the complete parks budget. That is only the commitment up to for the fairgrounds. So it is very likely that you will not need that entire budget amount.
Thank you.
One other question I received from a neighbor. It's Frank, the mini burn doodle, who was wondering when dog parks are opening.
So the plan is to open the dog park soft opening later in February. Of course, you've all have seen some of the rain events that we've had. There are some areas that need to be repaired and or cleaned because of that. We hope that the rain does not continue to compound the issue, but the plan is still for later this month.
Thanks.
Yep, no problem.
Is that a soft opening for the dogs?
Correct. Dogs are very eager.
Good. Okay, we can move. I'm not sure who's controlling the slide. Oh, it's Forest Laura. Thank you. Quick reminder on the floor plan. Do you want to?
Oh, we got a pointer.
All right.
Today. Just to remind everybody, we've got the main enclosed areas is Expo 1, Expo 2, and Expo 3. We have the show arena there. We have 2 of the sheds in this area. When we show you some construction, we'll come back to this, but we're going to show you most of the work is going on in Expo 3 right now. That's going to be the first building to come along. And then the balance of it will be following right after that. So that's.
You'll see here, I'm sure as you've seen as you've driven by, quite a bit of rock excavation, site grading work, especially along that western wall. That split rock wall is close to complete on that side. Of course, the grading work is still going on, but you can see from the images here, there's, I think, up to 18 feet at the max, 17, 18 feet, I think, is the height of that wall just at the back corner there. So that's been proceeding very well, which we're really glad. The rock looks really good back there for people who like rocks. The excavation work is, you get a couple of sense. The picture on the right is basically standing kind of on the Windgrove side of that, looking back towards the fairgrounds. So you can really kind of get a sense of that wall right there. And so again, that's kind of going to be the side of the parking lots, and then the sheds are going to be near that. So you can start to visualize that a little bit. Thanks, Laura. We had our first concrete pour last week, Tuesday night, 30th.
Whenever
Was that 2 weeks ago? It was really cold. Yes, it was.
Has everybody met Connell Anderson? Connell works with Ed. Connell is the guy that's out there in the middle of the night.
Right.
We appreciate Connell on cold nights.
A lot. We really appreciate him. Okay, sorry about that. So yes, Connell was out there that first pour all night long, right? In the very cold weather. Everything went well. That was a big pour. It was half of the slab of Expo 3. So we'll get a sense of the scale of that. It's really hard to tell when you're looking at a plan on a 8.5 by 11 sheet, but when you're out there in person and you really get to see the perspective of how large these buildings are, it's pretty impressive. So we'll kind of get a sense of that. So you can see the pour happening. You've got the concrete pump trucks and everyone's there working even in the wee hours of the night. So. This is the next day. Everything's kind of starting to set in and set up, and everything, the floor's looking good. Again, that's half of Expo 3 that has been poured, so you can sort of get that scale there. Again, when you can lay eyes on it in person, it's very impressive. So.
And they've actually finished Expo 3, so
Correct.
you'll see all the concrete for 3.
Here's kind of a good sense of this. Those are the control joints in the concrete floor. They're 15 by 15, I think, on something like that. So you can sort of get a sense of scale. But that's looking from one side to the other of the half of the slab. So you can see those trucks in the backside of that property. You really just kind of start to get a scale of how large that is. It's pretty impressive. Really nice looking concrete floor. So the next slide, please, Laura. Thank you. So this is actually out of date already this was from Friday, and today's just Tuesday morning. So again, our crews are out there working diligently to get this done. Do you want to walk them through?
Well, essentially, all the utility, underground utility in Expo 1 is complete. The slab's complete, except for a couple of areas like around electrical closets. The Expo 2 in the middle, which is going to be the next, is where the cafe will be and all the plumbing and things that go along with that. So that's going to be following closely with that. Then Expo 1 will be the final big pour before we get into the to the sheds. So that's progressing. The steel should be on site hopefully next week. So you'll start seeing steel going up. So between now, it's pretty muddy out there. I'm not sure you want to do the tour today that we talked about. But next month is going to be a dramatic difference in what you can see. You walk around the site.
And just for perspective, or just for you to know, the steel will start arriving on site, and it won't go up, I think, the first day. I think it's the next day or so they'll start to lay it down. So you'll see that happening in the next few weeks, towards the end of the month. Questions about the Expo progress?
Yeah, could you just review again the square footage of the different buildings?
I'll have to look that one up.
Or Laura?
I think Expo 3 is about a 28,000. Okay, go ahead, Laura. You remember this.
It's all right. Expo 1 is over 47,000 gross square feet. Just wrote an update.
Okay.
I did send it to you yesterday.
26.
So it's 130,000 gross square feet, divided up by Expo 1 is in and around 47,000 square feet, 34,000 square feet
For Expo 3.
for 3, and 26 plus for Expo 2, which is the bridge. So it's part of our update, our narrative update that I believe is now posted on the website under Fairgrounds Improvement Updates. Narrative with some pictures and such have been added to our website.
And that includes the conditioned space, not the canopy. So remember, the buildings are going to have a 30-foot canopy, which is, again, a really large space there. Laura, just for perspective, I think your creative arts building is one of the largest buildings you have, for a single building. What is the square footage of that?
It's comparable to Expo 2.
Okay.
The flat-roofed building that connects 1 and 3.
Okay. Just helps to kind of get a little bit of comparison. Again, when you can get on site and start to take a look at some of these building slabs. So when we see Expo 3, which is the building pad is poured, there the canopies are not poured. So there's I think a 20-foot canopy along the western edge there, southern edge along Wedgewood Extension, and then 30-foot canopies along the outside. So again, 30 feet is a very large overhang.
Curious about the Election Commission building. I know we talked, Ed mentioned it briefly. Well, so they, last time we talked, I think they had some bidding, some stuff they were doing. That worked out, so they're clearly moving out at a certain date and time.
We asked about that yesterday. They're still working on finalizing that date, so they're still in the process of working with the contractor and getting that finalized.
Raise the rent.
Michelle?
Yeah. Second question, you're going to be handling this in your talk, Laura, but I know we had some flooding a few weeks ago. I drove by today, and I don't know if the fence was from a couple weeks ago or from last night, but I forget which. But looked like the site, and I heard the site handled it pretty well, and just didn't know.
We really just had some minor, I can't even call it damage, but just shifting of some of the silt control systems, and so that was easy to put back into place. So from the side of the Expo Center, we really had very little issues to deal with.
So the site's been walked by Hawkins Partners with Skanska. So Hawkins Partners is the landscape architect. Most of the damage in terms of planting is related to the new planting, so the things that really hadn't had a chance to set and grow in yet. So they're doing a detailed assessment of what all plantings may need to be replaced from being washed out, basically.
I think overall, it's safe to say it was worked as designed, and it handled the light flooding that we do get sometimes in the Fair Park area.
Just to answer, we just got a report from the USGS that was just sent our way, that the flow last week in that rain event was more than double the next largest event over the past year. So it was very significant, the force of water that came out of Browns Creek. But I'll reiterate that the park is designed to handle that water, and by the next morning, there was very little standing water. And again, most of it was just debris that came over, gravel, sticks that were brought down the Browns Creek, and a few fish that we found on the park.
Next was about the public art. I know we mentioned that as well, and I'm just kind of curious how that's going in terms of timelines. And
I'm not sure we can speak to the timeline. It's still progressing. There's still money from this project and money from the infrastructure project. It's just that we don't have to account for it in our budget.
can you speak to how we have input in it? Do we have a designated board member, or the Laura handle that? Or
Yeah, we've been working in advance with staff at the Arts Commission, and how we've got it set up is 2 board members have expressed interest to assist in that process. Commissioner Bergeron will be helping at the beginning of the project to help establish scope, and then Commissioner McAnally will be part of the selection committee once it gets to the point where the solicitations are sent out for artists and there is a selection process, and we'll work with the Arts Commission on that.
Great, awesome, thank you. And then maybe handle this next, but do we have a ribbon cutting date or any for the park opening yet, or at least the dog park?
Yeah, we're going to do a soft opening on the dog park, like I said, initially later this month, hopefully next week, depends on just the cleanup from the rain event from last week. But I think we're targeting April, mid-April.
Anybody else?
I just want to update my numbers. Thank you, Christy, for pulling this up. My memory did not serve me. So you asked about the gross square feet of each of the buildings. Expo 1 is a gross area of just over 55,000 square feet. Expo 2 is around 31,500, and Expo 3 is over 41,300 square feet.
Actually, one last question I think about it. I know we talked previously about maybe seeing what maybe solar availabilities may be for our building. Have you had any more updates?
Well, the structural system for the building will allow an upgrade to solar in the future. Got some good potential locations on that, but there's not going to be a solar feature as part of this design. Not economical at this time.
Okay.
Real briefly on MLS, the stadium is the contractor and the architect, along with Icon, the project managers for the stadium. We're still working on modifications to the schematics. So the schematics are being tweaked before they'll be able to present those to the public. So that's still in process. The infrastructure project, which is being handled through the Sports Authority, there's an RFP out or an RFQ out for design teams to work on that project. The bridge portion is going to be separated out and continue on a parallel path, and that's just in the works. We're working with Public Works, the state, and others that want to have input to get their input on the process. So both of those projects are proceeding, and hearing more in the future. Anything else?
Assuming our construction schedule, I guess, out as we expect, and we'll be moving in line for schedule for any demolition for these buildings.
We're working with the team on the stadium about how best to facilitate the demolition. So, we're hoping that we're midsummer move to the new facility and then start immediately on the demolition process. We're definitely into the detailed planning of June, July, and August of what's going on at the Fairgrounds and what's going on in the construction sequencing for the stadium. But those details haven't been worked out yet.
May have been discussed, but I don't remember. Where will our customers access the property as that construction starts?
As the
MLS construction starts.
MLS, well, we still haven't defined the limits of their construction and how much they're accessed and how that relates to the mixed-use parcels. So there's going to be some shared time in there. Generally, Wedgewood, that area is going to still be accessible. There'll be access to Nolensville Road until we can get the bridge in, and through Walsh, or well, what little is left of Walsh, as we build, and we'll have access across the park. I mean, across the new facility, or the parking for the new facility to that. So essentially, it's going to take from Benton south, that area, and then there'll be some things that are shared by all the users, mixed use, Fairgrounds, and the stadium team. Putting all this together in the next 2 years, trying to sort out how they all work, and it'll be changing on a monthly basis as we go through that 2-year cycle.
Laura and with the Fairgrounds to make sure, and we'll continue to do this, and once we have this ready, we'll present this with you guys, but just sort of a logistics look of how to access a site as a vendor, as someone parking, as someone coming in for business, meeting with the office. We'll make sure that's clear prior to opening day. So, and then as Ron said, there's going to be phases along that until the infrastructure piece is complete.
Thank you. All right, so the next item is update on Speedway Motorsports, Inc.
As we stated last month, we are keeping this as a placeholder on our agenda because even no update is an update, and I don't have an update. They're still working on putting a proposal together to present to the city. And using the information that they have learned from us during our last couple meetings with them. So we are just waiting until that proposal is submitted so that it can be reviewed.
Okay. Update from Formosa Productions, Inc. on the 2019 World of Outlaws event.
Good morning, Board.
Morning.
The update on the World of Outlaw event, we have reached out to them on numerous occasions and sent emails and text messages and whatnot, and we have not heard back from them. They had a group of people on the Speedway a couple of weeks ago looking at some of the fencing and how they were going to do the dirt and whatnot, and I went down there and got involved in that, and that's I don't know if there was some discrepancy about the price of the dirt or hauling it in here or whatnot. I have reached out for the promoter on numerous occasions and have not gotten a response, nor has my management. I know my daughter and Lauren they've sent emails and whatnot, and so we don't have an update on that for you. Wish we did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The key to this is that they owe us some information in regards to any safety upgrades to the track that needs to occur in order to safely put on that event. It is a much different event than we have held at the track before, so we want to make sure that the fencing and safety plans are in place, as well as the maintenance of the track through the event, bringing in the dirt, how it's going to be managed, and then how it's going to be taken up, because we do have races prior to and shortly after that event. So the one thing that we're waiting for is the amendment. So if you recall that the board did vote to add dates to their contract, since this is a 2-weekend event, but that is on hold to process the amendment until we get this needed safety information that we discussed a few months ago when it was voted on.
I presume that amendment would have language and guarantees about that their obligations to clean up, so they're not leaving the fairgrounds or the Formosas in a lurch. I mean, I would presume that's what would be in the amendment, which is why it's so important that we get that amendment before us, hopefully relatively soon, if it's going to happen.
Okay, yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. That's exactly what we're waiting on, that kind of information. Until that information is provided, there's no point in bringing the amendment before you for final review or tracking it through for signatures on the Metro end. But that's what we're waiting on.
Can we get that, if it comes to us by the April meeting, will that be adequate? Can it even happen at the May meeting? I mean, what's the sort of, what's the last meeting that it can, allow for the mechanics to get approved before, because this is scheduled the end of May, correct?
It is. So they'd be on site for 3 weekends. My understanding from speaking with Claire was that they have a stipulation in their contract with the promoter that asks for all of this information be presented to them by March 1st.
Okay.
So presumably, if it is, acceptable once that review is done, that we possibly could have something by the March meeting, depending on timing.
Okay, so we're still weeks before their own deadlines. Okay.
When this event first came up, I came up here and spoke to you folks, and I gave you my word that I would oversee this, and that I would make sure that everything was done properly and safely, and I will. And Lauren, one of the Speedway's employees, she structured the contract, and I would like for her to explain to you folks real quick what's going on, okay?
Sorry, there's just
Good
a
morning.
few things that we put in the contract to make sure that anything had to be presented to us by March 1st, and if not, the contract is void. So if they don't have something satisfactory to us by that deadline, then the event will not go on. So we should expect to hear from them prior to then, or not be an issue.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
One thing to add, I don't know if this is within Tony's purview or yours, but after assuming this moves forward and we do get some kind of safety plan and stuff, make sure that we run that through our racing insurance companies to make sure they're.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda is new business. Mr. Dwayne Dominy.
Good morning, Board.
Morning.
Laura. All the Christy, good to see you. I'm here on behalf of the Nashville Flea Market Vendors Association. I serve on their board primarily as a consultant. A couple things I want to run through. The policy that's been published, I don't know if y'all are familiar with this, it was handed out in November. Laura, you may be familiar with it. It's handed out to vendors. It notes that there's a user advisory committee that's charged with developing a comprehensive list of topics and considerations for the decisions that are made regarding the expo building and logistics, that kind of thing. And in particular, it says the flea market decisions will not be made unilaterally, but with significant input from the larger vendors group. Now, I'm not going to get into how that was determined, but I am here to present, on behalf of the Nashville Flea Market Vendors Association, 547 signatures of vendors here in Nashville at the flea market as of December 1st. Now, I don't know about the other group, which is my understanding has not met since March of 2018 as vendors. But I would say that this is a larger of the group, of the two groups that represent the flea market vendors. And Laura, is this a handout that you had done? Okay, so that would be stated policy for the Fair Board and the property. Yes?
I'm not sure what.
I'm asking, is the stated policy that the folks involved with the committee overseeing the project and having input is to be the larger of the two vendors associations?
You're here to make a presentation, so go ahead.
I understand. I'm just confirming that what's here is policy and accurate before I move forward.
Tommy, can I ask you a question real quick before?
Sure.
I'm curious. I'm trying to understand. I don't understand which group I understand that there are two groups. I don't know which group you're speaking on behalf of. Is it the one that was founded more recently?
It is one that's recognized by the state of Tennessee. It was founded as a 501c4 by the state of Tennessee. It has had membership and had regular monthly meetings of vendors since its founding last year.
Your group was the one that was founded more recently.
It was founded more recently, but it is substantially more members, and then we also involve all vendors and their associations and their associates that participate in the vending of.
So how many members does the other association have?
Well, y'all decided it was the larger of the two, so I would assume y'all would have that information.
You seem to know that you're larger, so how large are they?
Well, their board hasn't met with members since March of last year, so we can't tell. They have no published data as their vendors.
That are in both?
Pardon?
Are there vendors in both?
There's vendors that was on the board of the other one that's now on our board.
Okay.
So I can't speak to some that may be in both, but the organization, we welcome all vendors and their associates. We request that both an indoor and outdoor vendor from our association be participating in any discussions of this advisory committee to have input in this important process and decisions for the property, as well as meeting the needs of all the vendors. As a result of the way our organization works, we have direct involvement from vendors. So we're not having a board member or a select couple of board members decide what goes on. We seek input from the vendors rather than acting unilaterally and telling them what they're going to have. And so we respectfully request, they've asked me to do that. There's a couple things we want to bring up besides the participation in the user advisory committee. There's some concerns about the advertising budget for the flea market. I don't know the status of that. These have just been brought up to me by vendors. They're not seeing or hearing the type of advertising input and presence that they have had. There's rumors that advertising budget has been cut. And they were also requested that additional social media input and involvement for the flea market be included as things to move in moving forward. Parking remains a concern. There are reports of over an hour and a half wait to get on the property for events. In addressing some of that, some of the vendors have suggested that a portion of the parking right outside this building, instead of being used for booths, be used for parking, especially for handicap and others, so they can increase the parking available for folks getting onto the property. For now, that's all I have, but I do want to enter these into the public record. Having entered signatures into public record with this board some time ago, those records were not kept. But these are signatures of vendors, signatures from the November flea market, and includes the membership of our organization as of December 1st, 2018.
Thank you. All right, anybody have any questions?
Was this Flea Market Vendors Association a party to the lawsuit that was recently dismissed?
Yes.
Is that our final agenda item?
I believe it is.
I have a quick question or not a question, Mary. I know we got an email from a council member about beer handles. I don't know if that's going to be on our prohibition list that you have to look for. The scout before each flea market. Comment or Laura? Yeah.
Yeah, we've been working on this. The issue is the sale of tap handles at the flea market. What we've learned through recent correspondence and discussions with some of our local breweries here is oftentimes those tap handles are owned in partnership between the breweries and the distributors, and they are generally not available for third-party sales. So we have developed a communication to that vendor just to ask, number one, if they do have any documentation that they have been given authorization to sell those taps. A lot of times they're taken unawares that they technically do not belong to the bars and restaurants in which they service. And so we're just clarifying with the vendors that do sell them that they have to have a written authorization that they are eligible for third-party sale, and if not, then that we believe that it does fit within the stolen or counterfeit rule that we have, the prohibition of selling, stolen or, unauthorized items. So we'll be reaching out to those vendors on behalf of those agencies.
I was trying to understand in the process, so is it where they're coming from in the process? Is it employees at restaurants are grabbing them and getting them to this vendor? I mean, that was the hard part I was understanding from the letter we received from Councilman Davis, I believe it was, that where in the flow of commerce those tap handles are getting out into the world and into this vendor's hands. That was the confusing piece of that. I didn't understand.
I don't know if we know that,
Yeah.
But again, oftentimes it's not an intentional gain for them. It's just they're out there and they land in. It could be as simple as that product has been exhausted at the restaurant. The tap handle goes in a box, and so it's our assumption is that it's completely unintended as far as just not understanding really the ownership and the who is responsible for those, because it's, again, not the restaurants and bars in most cases. That is a cost that is split between the breweries and the distributors. So they want those back once their product has been exhausted in those places.
Got it.
Last question. What's our kind of our average high-low range of number of vendors we have? What's like the
Average number, I mean,
vendors?
it can go from 400 to 700.
We had approximately 444 vendors last month, and this month we're a little bit over that already. We have about 1,200 booths rented already. So depends on the weather, you know, that has a big effect on the flea market. And okay.
What are the names of the two associations, please?
Two associations?
Yes.
You're talking about what he was talking about?
Yes.
I don't get into these associations.
Do you know the names?
All I know is that the Fairgrounds Vendor Association. I don't know what the other one.
The paperwork here says, I'm a member of the Nashville Flea Market Association, and they sign their name. How would they know the difference between either?
I don't know.
What one favors versus another one's opinion?
I know the older one has been around for a while. When
Do you know the names of them?
it's just, I
Nashville
don't
Flea
know.
Market Vendors
Dickerson Flea
Association.
Market Association.
If somebody
Vendor.
came up and asked you to sign something, would you know the difference? Or you just want to be a member of any association that's
I don't know, like I say,
furthering the
I do not get
benefit of the
involved with that.
vendors?
And I told both associations I would not get involved with either one of them.
Okay.
Good
Okay.
point, Mr. Chairman. Our director of our flea market doesn't.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Great.
No, thank you. You're done.
The difference is
You're
one
done.
has vendor involvement.
It doesn't say anything on that. All right.
Move to adjourn. Move to adjourn.
We have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.